Okay, welcome everyone to our class on learning Torah, and we're doing the part we call reaching the source, which is analyzing the Torah first. Okay, Michael, you're there, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so what I
My
made...
daughter Leah's joining us.
Oh, very good. Let her join. Hi, Leah. We're learning Chumash, no problem. What I did here on this chart, if you see it, this chart is a chart of aggressors and victims. Aggressors and victims, okay? We're going to see which ones the Torah talk about as we go through the list, and we'll check them off. And then the ones that they don't talk about, we're going to ask ourselves a question: what is the din when that happens, right? And all these type of activities is to show us where the Torah Shoah must come in, okay? So, for instance, we identified a man and a woman as the aggressor. Then there's the Eved and the Amma. I put them together. The Katan and the Katana, and we were doing the Behema a little. Now the Behema, some of these things are not clearly stated. We're going to have to know, like for instance, the word Yigach means to gore, you know, and then we're going to learn about the Shane and the Regel. Again, we're going to just put them down, and then we'll learn about the pit, and we'll learn about fire. Those are going to be the ones that are mentioned. So we're going to ask ourselves, okay, then we have a couple of, we have objects that get damaged, right? We said the objects that got damage, or an object. We had an Ish, and then we had the strange call Adam. We have to understand who he is. And then we had the Isha, and Eved, the Amma, the Katan, the Katana, the Behema, the Soda. And then we're going to see later on when it comes to the Shomrim coming up, it's going to be vessels. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. And in Behema we have the Shor, and we have the Chamor, and we have the Seh. Those are the three different types. I didn't put them in yet, infinite chart, as we do it. And then this whole chart has to be filled out. You see, you have to know what's the law when each one damages the other one. Oh, and then there's also two parts. There's death and damage. Okay, so we have to make that distinction too. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have damage, and we'll see all these perpetrators and victims, and then we'll see which ones the Torah talks about, which one doesn't, and how we're going to be able to fill out the whole chart. And from there, we can make a computer program, and we just say to you, okay, who is the perpetrator? Type in Ishishor, Eved, Katana. Who was the victim? Ishish, Katana. And then a whole bunch of factors, and pop out will come the answer, and we'll create the Shulchan Aruch. How about that? not bad, huh?
I like it.
Okay.
Right, the new IBM Shulchan Aruch.
The new IBM Shulchan Aruch, exactly. It probably won't be any different than the old Yosef Karo Shulchan Aruch. Matter of fact, Yosef Karo's Shulchan Aruch will probably do a lot better, but we'll use him. You know, we use everybody. What's the difference? You know, but anyway, that's the idea. So what we're doing now is stage one. Everything starts from the Chumash, okay, except what the rabbis added on. Coming up Purim, they added on some holidays, Purim, Hanukkah, and they added on Gezeres to protect us from breaking the Torah law. But the source of everything is the Chumash. And I'm speaking today to my wife, and I was saying, you know, I'm making this chart, and it's just, well, it's a chart. You could chart about anything. But the dramatic thing is that these are the words of Hashem. Hashem is talking to us. So he's created this thing, and we're now just trying to carefully analyze it so we know how to fill in the whole chart. But these are the words of Hashem, so if you want God to talk to you, all you have to do is open up the Chumash and start listening. That's not bad. Okay, so let's see where we left off here. Now what we're trying to do is identify in these cases, who is doing the action, what action is he doing, who is the recipient of that action, and what's the result. So we did a little work in Derek Tfunos, Sefer Gaon. These are all very, very important things to do, and we'll see how important it is as we go, because what the Ramchal said that he wanted to do was to make a framework. So just like we have this little chart that Kodesh Baruch Hu created, we want to, and we made a little chart of all the aggressors and the victims. We'd like to use his chart, his system, to say, well, what other things that are not stated here would be interest to us. For instance, one of the mikrim is called makom, right? Place. Now, where are all these damages happening? Where are they all happening? Okay, so what do you mean where they're happening? Well, there's three basic types of places that damage can happen. One is my domain. It's called Rishus Yachid. One is your domain. Okay, that's called the Rishus of the Nizak. If, let's say, I'm the Mazik, okay. Say the Mazik is, the damage happens in the Mazik's domain, or it can happen in the Nizak's domain, or it can happen in the public domain, Rishus Harabim, correct? So now we don't know where all this type of injury is happening, do we? So far, it doesn't say any. It doesn't say clearly. It just says Makishu Mace, and it says Vikiyagi Shor Etrorehu. But that whole aspect of Rishus, of domain, is not mentioned here, right? Very interesting. So if we look at the Ramchal, say, we should ask, these questions, and maybe as we ask these questions, lo and behold, we'll discover in our next stage the Mishnah starts talking about the very, very questions that the Ramchal told us to ask. So it's actually a very exciting activity here. We're going from what's written and making a little chart of what's written, aggressors and victims, and then we're going to ask our questions like time. Does the time of day have to do anything? Does the position have to do anything? Does the Siva K-list have to do anything? We'll ask all these questions, and as we ask them, lo and behold, the Mishnah will pop out to us and start filling in these important aspects to us. So that's the idea. Now, left off, I think we're talking about the shore. Is that right? We're talking about the shore?
Yeah.
Okay, so I made a little... what?
No, I think we were talking the shore and the bore. Yeah.
We went to the bore. Yeah, we went to the bore. Right. We went to this bore, and then all of a sudden we had to go switch to the other shore. So, but okay. So this. Oops, boy. Okay, that's the whole course chart, which is very, very important for us to do, and we'll be. These are just fun things. They're not fun. They're actually very serious. But here, for instance, what I started to do, and I didn't work out completely, but I just want to tell you, what I would like to do. Here we have owner A. You see him over there? Okay. Yeah, there's Mr. Owner A, and there's Mr. Owner B. Okay, there's owner B, and here's ox A, right, and ox B. Oops, there's ox B, right? And owner A's ox is going to use, for instance, his horn to gore ox B. He's gored. He was gored with the horn, and the result was that ox B dies, right? So then owner A is going to have owner B, depending upon if it was the first time or the third time, all sorts of stipulations we got into, okay? So now we have to now understand, why is owner A paying owner B? See, how was he, if he directly hit owner B, so we understand he was the direct cause of owner B's injury, okay? But here, it wasn't owner A directly that hurt owner B at all. Matter of fact, he hurt owner B's ox. And not only that, he didn't hit him directly, but his ox hit owner's B's ox. So we have to figure out his relationship to his ox such that he's going to have to be paying money for it. Okay? Isn't that fun? That's called careful analysis. That's what it's all about.
Mm.
Okay. So, and when you start doing this, it's not an idle activity whatsoever. It happens to be, as I said, lo and behold, you'll see as we open up the information from the Chumash itself, these will be critical things that Shabbat Peh will start telling us. Okay, so let's get back to our work. We left off. We did speak about the bore, and we spoke about the different activities that he did. He opened it, he dug it, and he didn't close it up, and who felt this time we added a character here, correct? Not only the shore, which has been our character up above, but we added a new character called the Hamor. And and he also dies because in the halacha it says to pay money. We didn't mention money before. We just said yishalem, and this extra word was going to be very exciting for us, which eventually we're going to use to learn that you can use equivalent. And the dead animal is lo, and lo is a pronoun, which is a whole problem. Who gets the dead animal? But hold that off. Okay, now we're ready for our next exciting installment. So let's see if we can read it here. I don't know if we did we do this here?
No.
So here, let me do it. Yeah, it's the next
Yeah.
pasuk. So let's read it across the way. Go ahead. I like participation.
Okay. V'chi gav shor ish et shorehu. So if a wait, igaf, was that the same word for we had before for goring? Or?
Now, if we look back, Baruch Hashem, since all this is very neatly done,
Gacha.
we have yigach here. We don't have any yigov so far. This is the first time we have a yigov. So what happens is when we switched from man to animal, all of a sudden we have this new activity called yigov, which wasn't mentioned before. Okay? So yigov is going to be translated as to shove with the body, okay? But again, all these, I like to always, yeah, to shove. You know, you need to shove, right? He pushes the other animal, and the animal, breaks his rib or something. I don't know. There's a goring with the horn, and then there's a shoving with the body. They're walking, and then he gives him shtoch. Yeah, but not with his hand, with his body. A little. Okay. Anyway, yigov. But we always have that. That's a new word here. V'yigov. It's a new activity, and we have to understand it. So I just already jumped the gun and told you what people say about it, but that's okay. Okay. So it says v'ki yigov. So we have who is the poel here?
The shor.
Right. Now Rashi goes, shor ish. That's a strange. Rashi goes out of his way and he says it means shor shel ish. Okay, it's unusual. We have to understand why it said shor ish. I mean, who else is going to be? Maybe to eliminate a shor shel katan or something like that. That would be interesting. Maybe that's what it does. But that's an interesting observation here. The shor's owner pops up here. Okay, so why is he all of a sudden popping up over here? But that's what it is. But he's the aggressor here is the shore of an ish. Okay? What's the pula that he's doing?
Yigaf.
Okay. Yeah, yigov. Yeah, he's shoving, he's pushing. Who's the victim here?
The shore of his of somebody else. I mean, grammatically, you can see why it makes sense to put an ish because you say re'ehu. So if you're going to say re'ehu, you better be a bit specific about whose buddy or whose neighbor's bull is being hurt here.
Well, who is the victim?
Grammatical point.
Who's the victim?
In other words, if you said ki v'chi gof shor et shor re'ehu, so you'd say, well, what do you mean re'ehu? Whom are you referring to? So
Yeah.
grammatically, you have to include the first ish in order to use the word of the ehu.
Very good. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, but who is the hefel here? Just state it. Who got hurt?
Bull B.
Bull B. Very
Bull,
good.
yeah.
Very good. And as you said, now we have a new term. Every term is a new world. I mean, is a new chiddush here. All of a sudden, it's the shorei. We never mentioned the before the chamor or the shore that was hit. He never said shorehu. So you're right. The two things come together. First was the shore of ish, and he did his re'ehu. Now, what is re'ehu is a limitation. We said whenever there's a limitation, it comes to mamayat how do you say mamayat? To exclude something else, right?
Yeah.
So what does it come to exclude? But it's a new term. Okay. Now, the result is also misa, right? Right. Okay. Very nice. So what we did here is we switched from the victim being a man above. That's who we, right? Remember that pasuk. Then we had a break with this boar, right? And now we're coming back to the shore again, right? And we switched victim from man in the first instance of shore being the aggressor to a animal, to another shore. Okay? Right?
Yep.
Okay. So what's the law here now? When one shore hits another one?
So the aggressor, obviously, because the other one's dead.
Right.
So he has to be sold. And they divide the profit into half.
Right.
They also, I guess they sell the, I guess the dead one has some value. The carcass of the first of bull B has some value to it.
Yeah, probably leather, you know what I mean? You can't use it to eat it because it's an avela, but it could be used for leather. Maybe the shofar could be used for blowing a shofar. You know, it does have some value. Maybe it could be thrown to the dogs. I don't know, my dog food, you know. But that's it. So now you see, in our careful analysis, we would have to now compare what happened to the man and what happens to the shore. Okay?
Right.
Okay, so what happened here when shore A? Oh, 1 second, what's going on here? Kiga shore ish. Oh, here's the victim. Okay, here's the victim. But now here it doesn't mean shore shel ish. It means the ish o shore, right?
Yeah.
So what happened in that case? Okay, what happened? Those poor, yeah. So what do you do in that case?
Then the animal has to be killed, and you can't even profit from it.
Very good. Yes. Well, it says now that's interesting that you said that. It says you can't.
I mean, because if you profit, right? But it says specifically you can't eat it. I guess it's possible.
You can't eat it, but what about selling? What about selling it to a goy, for instance?
Right.
We don't know. You see how we have to fill in the chart?
Right.
Now, all is going to be spoken about, okay? But very good. So, minimum, you can't eat him. And the first time, we said that there's Tom and the Mu. There's a first-time offender and the third-time offender. So this first-time offender gets killed. But when he kills another shore, what's his punishment?
He gets sold alive.
Very interesting. Why? Isn't that interesting? How come?
Yeah.
How come when he kills a man, we get rid of him? When he kills a shore, we sell him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean,
yeah. So tell me why it makes sense.
Human life obviously has much more value than the life of another bull.
Well, don't you think he may?
Human life.
Well, what does that mean? Don't you think he may going around killing other bulls? You want to do that? Yeah.
I see what you mean. Or even right. Or even a human, I guess, if he's a dangerous.
Well, again, that raises the question: why are we killing him in this instance here when he killed a man? Why are we killing him?
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, it's strange to say that you're punishing an animal. This sounds weird. This is the same problem I had last time. This idea of applying categories that we use, punitive categories that we use with human beings, applying them to animals is a bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, but something's up. I mean, you know, I don't know. Maybe he's some kind of tuma to him. He's a marked animal, marked bull.
Okay, so we got to understand. That's a very interesting question, of course, that I asked. No, but the answer is because why do you kill it? Is it because you said we're trying to, what is that called, retaliate? You know, he was a bad boy, so he has to, you know, die, avenge the death, or maybe very simply, we're trying to make sure that he doesn't kill another man. Okay, and I mean that would answer why when he kills, how come when he kills another shore, we don't get rid of him?
I guess it's saying that if he kills another shore, then he's not necessarily showing violent tendencies towards human beings. So I guess the assumption is that he's not going to attack a human being, he's just going to attack other animals.
Very good.
So then the only thing we're worried about is the actual value of the lost animal, the shore that's been killed. That seems to be the only concern.
Right. And it could be, and again, it could be, again, just speculating. By the way, he says in Darkei Gemara, by the way, you always have to, first, you have to observe carefully. That's number one. But two, then you have to create a theory. When you see something happening, like someone paying money, or there's a discrepancy between these two payments, you always have to ask yourself, why? Okay? My timer. You have to say a reason. Okay? And create a theory. And then what you have to do is check your theory against Torah Shabbat and the Rishonim and this and that, and then see if you agree or disagree with your theory. Okay? And that's the real way to educate yourself. First, and that's what we talked about, the Svara Chitzona. You have to say first what you would have thought, and then you have to then see the Chiddush. And the Chiddush is always something that has to be proven. Right? It can't be just in the air. I mean, so. But the first step that I want to tell you, and it's a very, very important, because people have to, as I told you, 3,000 pages, so much to learn, so much information. They don't. My friend once said, we don't have the luxury to do this. But because they don't have the luxury to do this, and they do it, so then they don't really see what I'm trying to show, which is how, if you carefully analyze the text, you'll see why the Torah Shabbat Peh has to be there. Because the text by itself tells you, hey, there's something else happening here. Okay, so but the first thing is that you create theories. You know, don't be afraid to create a theory. Then you have to test it out whether it works or not. It's another thing to see if it's consistent. But okay, so we have a little theory that when it comes to animals, okay, when it comes to killing a man, either because man is so, you had a nice, man is a different category of being, and if he very important also. So if he kills a man, we can't afford to have him hang around. But if he kills his own kind, so either because that's less important than man, so we can have him hang around, or maybe animals are always fighting, you know, like children, they're always fighting, and animals are always fighting. That's not any reason to get rid of him. Okay, those are a couple of theories that we're just throwing out. Okay, but yeah, go ahead.
What is interesting, I'm just thinking,
Very good. I love thinking. Yes.
There would be, like, the argument could be made. I mean, obviously, it's this argument against the Chumash here, but it could be made, look, that you have two owners with two bulls. Obviously, a living bull is of more value than a dead bull. Otherwise, it wouldn't even make the distinction here, I assume. Mm-hmm. So you would think, okay, if an owner lost a living bull, his bull died, and the other one's bull is responsible. So you know what? So give him, and we're saying that the bull is not necessarily a wilde chaya, although it is literally a wilde chaya. It's a wilde behemoth. So at least, so this Vilda Behemoth, we said, okay, look, fine, he's not going to start goring people. So at least compensate the original owner with the same value of what he lost, which would be a living bull. So give the carcass to the guy whose bull shoved the original bull, and give the living bull to the first guy, so at least he can sell it and make the same money off of it. So
Excellent.
I just find it interesting that now they're dividing the value of both the living and the dead, as if it's a freak of nature for which nobody's really responsible, neither owner A nor owner B. And they're both going to absorb the damage of this freak of nature. Not a freak of nature, but it's an act of nature, and they're both going to absorb some of the damage.
Wow. Do you know you just created the Gemara?
Yeah?
Yeah, just by doing this, you're recreating the Gemara. The fact is that this is an unusual case here. He's paying half damage. You should be paying full damage. He killed his property, killed another man's property. Let him pay it for all. What is this half? Okay? It's a big discussion in the Gemara. So I'm going to give you a preview because you're so much on the path, and if I let you talk a little more, you'll probably recreate both sides. But yeah, you will, because everything is a logical progression from the question, okay? But there's a big machlokus whether the half damage is a knas or a payment. What does that mean? Is a bull in a category called cheskes shimor kaima or not? In other words, a lion we know is dangerous, right? He can kill very easily. A pussycat is not going to kill anybody, right? But this shore is a animal that can change his nature. He has the ability to kill because he has those sharp, pointy things on his head. Okay, so he has the ability to kill. But normally he doesn't use that ability. Normally he likes to walk around the fields and eat and procreate and just be a nice little animal, right? So, but there is a potential for killing there. So the question is, why did the Torah say the first time you pay half damage? So one person says it's a knas, which means you're really, the first 3 times he's not what we call muad, as the third time we're going to see in a second. You don't know if he's a dangerous animal. He's starting to act up. He's starting to show signs, right? So the Torah gives you 3 times, but has to tell you, look, I'm going to slap your wrist now and give you a knas, and so you're going to have to pay half damages. Now you're going to watch your bull a little better. Okay, that's one opinion. The other opinion says, no, it's the same facts. We know that he's not a killer yet, but he's going on his way. This could be a sign of a changing personality. So the Torah says, so the first 2 times, since we don't know, first 3 times actually, we'll give you half payment. Okay, you only have to pay half, because we don't know if it was an aberration. You know, he had a fight with his wife or something, you know what I mean? And it was an aberration. Or this is the beginning of a change of personality. So that's it. That's the big machlokus over here. But the observation of half damage is an observation, Baruch Hashem, that you made, and has to be made. And then, my time out, it has to be explained. Okay, so I'm very happy that you made the observation. And as we'll see, as things unfold, everything that's said in Torah Shabbat Peh is forced from the text. The text is screaming out and saying, I want you to explain this, okay? Not just to read it and do it. I once was giving a little talk to guys in like commando unit, you know, it was Israeli group, you know, commando unit. So I said to them, when you get in a command from your officer, what do? So they said, we do it automatically, whatever he says. Now that wasn't my point. My point was that you have to understand what your officer said before you can do it, correct? But since they have a small set of commands that they know exactly what the result will be, they have a language among them, so they're only interested in what's called obedience, doing what the commander says. But I was trying to show them, when you read the Torah, you have to first understand the message. then of course you have to go out and do what it says, and you have to be a verbrennte Yid. You have to do it. But if you don't understand the message, then you can be making a lot of mistakes, like Rabbi Akiva, right? The famous Rabbi Akiva, before he studied Torah, he saw a dead body, carried it all the way back to town, and the rabbi told him every step was an avera, because you're supposed to bury it in a place. So that's the important thing. You have to first understand and then do. But you can't do before you understand. Even we said Nasev in Nishva, but that's a different level. Let's say after you do, then you're going to have to understand a deeper level. Okay, anyway, let's go here. We made a beautiful option. You gave a nice little theory. Now we went from the same thing is going to happen here. The first time offender, this shore, killing his shore, now becomes a 3 times offender, okay? So it starts with oh no da. Oh no da, and then it goes oh no da ki shore. Okay, it's going to slip the line over there. Okay? You with me? Go ahead, read. I like
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, noda means what? That it's...
or it was, again, the reason why I put it on a separate line, because that's a pula, that someone notified someone. We don't know who notified whom here.
Right.
Does it mean it was known in the community? Does it mean someone, told him? Does it mean he had to go to Beis Din? You see? Without Torah Shabbat Peh, it's impossible to know. You can say theories, but you have to, it has to be the word of Hashem. So, how do you figure that one out? But anyway, it says, oh no da. If it was known, go ahead.
So, oh no da ki shor nagahu mitmol shilshom.
Yes. Now here's yes.
Right. So if it's known that he's a bull that gores, he has a history of goring. Yesterday and the day before.
That means yesterday's, and the day before. Yeah.
And his master has not been watching him, has not been penning him up. Shalemi shalem shor tachat shor v'hamet yelo. So in that case, he should pay a bull for bull, and he may keep the carcass. Okay, so now what does that mean? He's giving him he's not giving him the bull that was nagah, is he? That doesn't make sense.
He could. It doesn't really. I mean, theoretically, again, a good question. Theoretically, it says you have to pay one shore for the shore that you lost. Shore tachat shore. No, I don't see why he couldn't give him the aggressor. What's the difference? Or maybe he has to give him money, maybe, because it says you shalem. Yeah. These are all interesting questions. We don't know.
I mean, this bull is a loose cannon, so that why are you basically taking?
Very good. Why would you want that bull? Exactly. I would. This guy's dangerous, and that's an excellent thing. If your bull was a quiet guy that never hurt anybody, you certainly don't want to have this extra responsibility of this killer in your corral. Excellent. Yeah. So it must mean you have to give him money for the money that he lost. Very good. You see, you're creating the whole scene, and the poor dead, yelo, is to him. So there's a whole question here who the lo is, because it's an indirect program. It's a pronoun. So it could be that, look, he paid for the whole bull, right? He paid. I paid you for a new bull. So I get the dead because you got full payment. Or maybe the original owner takes the animal and we subtract it from the payment. These are all questions that are asked. Now let's just look at the difference. Our 3-time offender when it came to man. Oh, and by the way, I want to make another point here, which we haven't mentioned yet. The new chap, we did actually mention it up above. After 3 times, it says v'lo yishmerenu ba'alav, right?
Yeah.
What happened the first time?
Yeah. Right. Why didn't he? I mean, Shmira should be you're saying after the first, right?
Even the first time. He shouldn't have been watching his ox the first time too.
Or in general.
In general.
It's not. Yeah. No, but I guess in general, I mean, there seems to be a kind of, I don't know what it is here exactly, but some kind of default position what an average sane bull is expected to do. And so the shmirah would not be an issue until the bull shows some kind of signs of being, dangerous. I don't know. I like what would shmirah? I mean, okay, so shmirah would be an issue at every given point, but it's not generally thematized until it's an issue, until it's a problem.
Well,
So
why isn't it a problem the first time?
Yeah.
So you can answer two ways. You say it was a problem the first time, and we're talking about after 3 warnings he again didn't watch.
Right.
He even didn't watch. Or it wasn't a problem the first time, it's only the 3rd time he has to watch. Now, why do I bring this up again? Because there's a big argument in the Gemara whether a shor is becheskes shimor kaimei or not. What does that mean? Is he basically a nice animal who sometimes can have an aberration, or he's a not nice animal and you have to watch him all the time? We know statistically that, let's say, 25% of, I'm making up a number, 25% of the times an ox will gore someone, right? But we don't know if that's enough to call him a animal you always have to watch, or only you have to watch him after he starts acting up. That's a big question, and you see that the Torah is already indicating it's asking us about that, because it says here that after 3 times the owner didn't watch. So you ask him, what about on the first time? Did he watch and it had no significance? Okay, which means it's true he's a dangerous animal, but you don't have to you don't have to go out of your way so much to keep your eye on him. Oh no, he was really a nice, simple animal. Anyway, that's a big question. Okay, but again, let's just compare what happened to our murderer of man and the murderer of the ox. When it came to the murderer of an ox, we said, say, by the way, you have to kill this guy, right? It doesn't say the 3rd time offender, the bull to bull.
Yeah.
Doesn't say you have to kill him.
Yeah, that's right.
What? Right?
Well, yeah.
Now you had a good story. You said, "Hey, this guy's a muad. Well, you want to give it to the other guy? Yeah. He wants your lunatic ox. No way. You know what I mean? So why don't you have to kill him? Kill the bum. You know what I mean? He's a 3-time offender. He runs around killing oxen. Go kill him. Interesting. Doesn't say to kill him. Yeah. Okay. And though we got rid of him real quickly. Okay. Again, interesting observations. Let's go. So now, my other observation was like this. I don't know if we discussed it. Isn't it interesting? Maybe we did discuss it. You'll tell me, because anyway, I do this twice. How come the boar got, did we discuss it? How come the boar got stuck in between the 2 animals? Did we discuss that question?
No, we didn't get to discuss it.
Okay, good. I discussed it with my other student. Isn't that interesting? I mean, if I were to, if I was a god, I was presenting these halachas, I would put the 2 oxen together, and then I'd talk about the boar. So how come HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided, no, first he's going to talk about the shore damaging a man, and then he's not going to switch to the shore damaging an ox, he's going to put the boar in the middle. Right. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it is. It suggests that it's a, I mean, to my mind, I don't know, it just suggests that he wants to make a transition where the emphasis will now be on the victim. So in other words, that the question is really, because what the 2 latter cases have in common is that the victim is a shor.
That's correct. But what's the difference? Put the second, since the victims are the same, as you said, so then let's put the shore next to the shore and put the next victim underneath with the boar.
Right. But it's a simpler case because the boar is an inanimate object. So in a way, the logic is that you would present a simpler case first before you consider a case of of an active agent like a bull. You don't want to look at just a whole. I don't know. That's one. It's more. It just simplifies the situation. If you're talking about a whole perpetrating something or a bull, then it's a much simpler situation to think of a whole.
Why is it simpler?
Because it doesn't. Whenever you talk an animal, I mean, in all these cases, what's interesting is that we're almost talking about the psychology of the animal. We have to take into consideration the animal's state of mind.
Yeah.
That becomes a factor. But when you're talking about a whole, there is no state of mind of a whole. The whole is just a whole. It's just it's a non-entity. So really, the whole focus is on the responsibility of the poil, like the man who dug up the hole and failed to cover it up, and the victim, the shore, and the other man, what he owes him. That's the only justification I would see. But you're right. I mean, it makes sense to stick them together if you want to be thematic. But I would think that if you want to build up halachic issues bit by bit, so maybe start with inanimate things first. I don't know.
Now, but inanimate. Now, I'm gonna respond to you. Why did we go from shore killing a man to shore killing another shore? What was the logic in that order?
Oh, you mean because it decreases, it's going from more important to less important, or
Exactly, right? And then we're going to go down to the fire, and less importance, things that are less. So in that case, even though the victim is the same, and you're saying it's simpler, I would go from the more important to the less. In other words, what does more important mean? First of all, it's more important because of who he damaged, and that's the same here. It could be also more important by the level of responsibility. In other words, I ask you, are you more responsible to watch your shore or your boar?
Right. Do you mean the labor involved in taking responsibility for those, or what do you mean more responsible?
I mean, what I mean, yeah, to which one is potentially more dangerous?
A shore or a boar? I don't.
You'll say, well, they both can kill.
Yeah.
But the shore can move one place to the next.
Right.
The boar, it's a question of someone not seeing it, falling into it, and the animal falls into it, doesn't see it. But the animal is something that's animated. That's what animal comes from, right? It moves.
Yeah.
So that seems that you'd have to keep more of an eye on that one, a guy that moves, than this thing that's pretty static. I mean, not that you have to watch both of them, but I would think that the more active thing.
Wait,
but I'm just saying,
there's an increase of responsibility as you're going down the list here?
No, you start from the most. You start from the most dangerous thing. Okay, the thing that you're most should be looking out for. For instance, look, when we started the whole thing, how did it start? Who was the damager in the first series? Who was the series of Pesukim?
Oh, right. How far are we going back?
That was here. Here, I'm sorry. Here. Who's the poel over here? Umake ishu mace most humas. Who's the poel?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's
right?
Straight up, it's murder.
Right?
It's human murder. Yeah.
Yeah, so the poel here is the man himself. So if I ask you, what's your first priority of watching your behavior, watching out that no one gets hurt, it's your own self, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, death is going to be the same in all these cases, but your first, the immediate thing that you should be watching out is your own being, correct? Then we could talk about your animals. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we went from the I don't call it an object, but the subject, which is most immediate as a damager, in other words, watch yourself, to a man's property, which is the next level down, right? You with me?
Yeah.
That's why we talked about the shore
How
next.
does it solve?
Oh, exactly. It makes the problem worse. So then, if that's true, that when we talked about man damaging man, then we went to shore man, right? And now we talked about the boar damaging the shore, and the shore now. Well, again, I'm bringing back the issue. Shouldn't shore be before boar? He's much more. First of all, he was mentioned before when he was killing the man. Second of all, he's much more active than the boar. Boar's a passive damager. This is the shore's active. It's although it's the next level away from yourself, it's closer to you because it's a living, moving thing than an inanimate thing, like a hole in the ground. You with me? I'm building up the question. Yeah. I'm building up the question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still. I don't see. Yeah. So I don't see why they're. I'm not supposed to see it, but
no, you could see it.
Why is there? Why could, by that logic, why would there be an interruption with the board?
Right. So, my theory is, you see what I just underlined there? Who's the poel in the boar? Who made the boar?
Ah, I see. So the E show you. So it's going back. Right, I see. Right. It's going back to Ish.
Yes, you made the boar. It's true. It's true that your agent was only a cause of damage, but you made the agent. You didn't give birth to the shore,
right.
But you certainly did make that boar. So it's, as far as the responsibility for the action of creating the damage, it's much closer to you because you made it or you uncovered it. So it's almost a ma'aseh ish. It's almost an action, direct action of you.
Right.
Okay, that's the theory.
Right. That makes sense. I like it.
Good. I mean, that's that's the whole idea of what we're doing now.
Right.
I told you one of my basic rules was 2 and 2 is 4. If it comes out 5 or 3, you have to say, wait a minute. So the second basic rule is order. You see, we see that the Torah is extremely orderly in its presentation. So when we see something out of place, a flag goes up and says, wait a minute, this seems out of place. What is the logic here? So now when we investigate the poel, the pool, the hefel, the mesubav, we can start thinking and understand why it really does belong in that place. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the excitement of learning. Yeah, it's got to make sense, or it's not Torah. No, there's certain things of putting on tefillin that's a chok. You know what I mean? But
no, but I like this. The presentation, the order presentation makes sense when you put it that way.
Very good, very good. Okay, so now we're talking about we talked about our shore and the victim being another shore. Okay, and we looked at the changes. By the way, it's the good book, Dr. Gemara always tells you, when you see a case, one case following the next, you have to say, Manishtan alayla zemikol alaylos. You have to say what changed and why did it change. Those are the two important things to do. What and why. What changed and why did it change? Okay, very good. Now we have another exciting what do we call lack of Seder, it seems. Because now all of a sudden we're going to talk about a Ganav. What's he doing here? But let's see what he says. First, let's read what he says, and then let's try to figure out how come he's here. Okay? Okay.
So v'chi ganav ish shor oseh.
Okay.
ותבחור או מכרו, 5 בקר ישלם תחת השור, ו4 צאן תחת השה. So if a man steals a bull or a sheep, and I guess he shechts him, right?
Yes, slaughters him.
He shechts him, or he sells him. So then he should pay back 5 bulls against the price of the original bull, or 4 sheep against the price of the sheep. Well, it says abatzon, so I don't know. I mean,
No, that's right. Flock. We say the
yeah.
bakar and son. Bakar is called cattle, and son is called flock. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why doesn't it say arba same or whatever? So why does it say
Very good.
we're not giving back 4 flocks against 1 sheep?
No. But
Exactly.
yeah, it does mean 4 whole flocks. Why didn't it just say pay back 4 shvarim? Chamesha shvarim. Why did it all of a sudden switch to the categorical name?
Right.
Now it doesn't mean well, that's what you said. Maybe you have to give back a whole flock of cattle, or whatever they call a whole group of cattle, a whole group. Okay, that would be hard to justify. But there is a Shinui Lashon here, it's called. Shinui Lashon. Okay.
I mean, it suggests that you could use bakar or tzon. You can use any member in the flock or the. It doesn't. In other words, you can give them a cow for a bull. You can give them a ram for a sheep, and so on.
Excellent theory. Very good. Excellent. Okay. So now all of a sudden we're talking about. So now we have to first of all do our activity: the poel, the pula, and the hefel, and the mesubav. Okay. So who's the poel here?
The thief, the man who's a thief.
Yeah, and the Torah calls him an ish. Okay. Again, maybe not a katan. No, why he says ish. We have to understand the rules. When the Torah says ish, you see, we saw there's an ish and there's an adam. So what do they come to mamayit? Okay, maybe if a kid, maybe a child, not so, because there's only ish here. It says clearly. But anyway, that's good. Now we switched a little bit the victim, correct?
Right. It's one of 2 different types of animal. It's not just a shore.
Now, why did we switch the victim?
Why do we switch? I don't know.
I make you work. That's my thing here. That's why.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
In other words, why don't we just stick with, what would it be the other possibility? Just leave it at shore?
Yeah, keep talking about shore. You're talking about shore. Keep going with the shore. Why do we put the sand all of a sudden?
Right. Well, I mean, it seems to be a different, first of all, we've made a major shift here in the Pe'ula. The Pe'ula seems to guide the big difference. I mean, up until now, we've been talking about some kind of murderous damage, or so now we're talking about theft, which is a very different type of pula. And so maybe when we're talking about theft, we want to say, look, not every object that you steal has the same. I mean, you know, the glaring problem here, of course, is the mishpat aleph and mishpat beit. Why are we giving 5 in one case and 4 in the other? So it seems to be that they wants to create some kind of scale in different values of different animals, or in the way we pay some kind of knas. There has to be a scale. We don't pay the same ratio.
What's the difference between a shore and a seh?
In terms of value?
Any terms, you tell me. I'm only asking questions. You got to work on it. I'm here to ask the questions. Don't ask me any questions. I don't want to be embarrassed.
I don't know. Based on what we've said so far, shore, first of all, is more dangerous than a seh.
Okay.
There's no seh that goes around goring animals.
Right. But here's not the aggressor, right?
Yeah.
Here's not the aggressor. Here's a victim.
Yeah.
So what's another machina? What's another aspect here that we can be thinking about?
Well, one other aspect I can think of, a seh is a female, right?
That's a good question.
Because what is it called? A ya'al is a male.
A ya'al. A seh is a sheep.
It's a sheep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of value. I'm trying to think like a farmer here. I'm not a farmer.
Yeah.
The shore is not going to give you milk, and the sheep will.
So what was the difference? That makes the sheep more valuable.
Yeah, I guess so. That's why you only pay back 4 rather than.
Well, there's an obvious one you're missing.
Yeah.
How about if you put it on a scale? What about a scale?
Okay. Okay. Ah, you mean just pure meat? So let's see. How would that factor here? The ratio. But still, I don't understand. Why would there be a ratio of 4 rather than 5?
Very good. Definitely the shore is bigger, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're giving 5 big ones and you're giving 4 little ones. Okay. But why? Can't figure it out.
Why?
I mean, why is it 4 and 5? Why? It's definitely a kanash. He's ending up getting more than what he lost, right?
Yeah.
He only lost 1 shore, 1 seh, right?
Right.
But now you got to pay back 5 biggies and 4 small ones. I understand.
Right.
Have to understand why. I did either pay 5 and 5, 4 and 4. Don't understand. Okay, that's not where you have to learn Torah Shabbat.
Well, why? First of all, why 5 anyway?
Exactly. Why 5? Why not 10? Why not 6?
Yeah.
Okay. But definitely also this also definitely.
What is the function of the other 4? Is it punitive? I mean, is the guy being punished here for stealing?
Good. Excellent.
The guy who had the object stolen, is he? What is he being compensated for? The fact that he missed his bull for a couple of days or weeks, and he gets a present.
Look, when his bull when his bull died, he only got back 1.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes
or a half even.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden he's getting back 5. Well, what did he do to deserve 5?
Right.
So it's a good question. Okay. It's a good question. Now, all we have to add, we have to look at what, like you said, you said one theory. I mean, one theory is that this is Geneva, so we're punishing. It has nothing to do with the person who was stolen from. It's a punishment for a Ganav, right? You're a bad boy. You're stealing, so we're going to punish you to pay back even more than what you stole. So that's a question of, what do they call that? That's another thing we have to talk about, these a deterrent, that's the word. Exactly, it's a deterrent. If your Yetzer Hara, starts acting up, know that you're going to have to pay back 4 or 5 times the amount that you stole. That's a pretty big, heavy deterrent. Okay, so there are questions we so far we haven't created a theory for it. Of course, it's going to be revealed, when we go down the line, but it's something that has to be spoken about. My timer. Very good. Here, so Tavach is death, so it kills the animal, right? And the other thing is that he sells the animal, right?
Yes.
What happens if he doesn't do anything to the animal? I mean, in other words, the animal's still around.
Right.
So that the Torah is going to talk about in 1 second. Okay, and after we finish this whole section here of the Ganav, then we have to ask ourselves, what's he doing here? That's another section. But let's go a little further with him, okay? Okay. So it goes im b'machteres yimotza Ganav, okay? I broke it up because that doesn't matter.
Yeah. What is machteres? What does that mean?
Now, machteres means choter, means to dig. So if he dug under, to dig, D-I-G. In other words, if he, like the Arabs do from Gaza, they dig on the ground. So,
Right.
So if he, or the bank robbers dig under to get to the safe. So if he doesn't walk in the door, but he digs a hole underneath the ground surreptitiously, okay, that's the case here. Same, the perpetrator is the Ganav. He's doing an activity of choter, digging underneath the ground to get into the house. Okay, interesting activity. So, im b'machteres yimotzeh haganav. Okay, so again I ask who found him? Okay, so I had the balabayas. I mean, it was his house, and Ganav did the pool of digging into the house, and he hasn't done anything yet. So how do you even know he's a Ganav? I don't know. Maybe he has one of those masks on, over the eyes. Or maybe you can presume a guy that's digging under the ground is not there to fix your plumbing. Okay. But whatever it is, if this Ganav decides that he's going to dig under the ground and come up in your living room, and you find him, right, and what happens?
Vehikav emet, eno damim. So the balabait hits him, and he dies as a consequence. So he's not a murderer.
He's not a murderer.
Balabait is not. He's not a blood. Yeah, he didn't.
Right. He's not called spilling blood.
Right.
My timer. What's the reason?
Well, yeah, because in my time, obviously he did it. It's not exactly self-defense, but it's the closest thing to it. He wasn't. His own life was not being endangered necessarily. I mean, he doesn't know. But he was defending his property, at least. So it's not like he was. He is a purely. It was a reaction on his part. He didn't go out and murder somebody of his own accord. He was protecting his own property, at least. And I guess there's also the possibility. I mean, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what the aggressor is capable of. Is he just a gunner, or is he a gunner capable of murder? So then it might be self-defense also. At least.
Right. Very good. See, you're saying very good. Do you know the Amshinov Rebbe? The Rebbe Amshinov in Beit Vagan?
I heard of him. Yeah, Yeshua told me a couple stories about him.
Yeah, he's pretty special. So someone actually, there's the rash of theft in Beit Vagan. So Aganov, he came into the Amshinov's Rebbe's house.
Oh, wow. Chutzpah.
What, he didn't know it was the Amshinov Rebbe, maybe he did, but what was the Amshinov's Rebbe's response?
What did he do?
He said, "Do you need anything? Can I give you anything?"
That's like the story of the Chavetz Chaim.
Yeah, the Chavetz Chaim says, as the guy was running, he said Hefker.
Right.
He didn't he didn't want the guy to be over Geneva. But the Amshinov Rebbe said to him, maybe you need something. What can I help you with? What do you want? Money, whatever you want. Skalaltic, huh?
What happened after that? What happened?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose the God probably collapsed. I think he ran away, but I mean, that was something, you know what I mean? Only the Amshinov Rebbe can do something like that. I mean, maybe the Chavetz Chaim also. Anyway, that's the story. Anyway, normally, okay, like you said, self-defense. Normally, the guy's sneaking. He just doesn't go in the window, but he's sneaking under the thing, so he sees people are sleeping and he's ready to kill people. That's usually the simple thing. But anyway, that's interesting. Okay, now it keeps going with this next.
Im zaha hashemesh alav damim lo. Does that mean if it was in the daytime?
Simply speaking, that's what it means. As if the first one must have been the nighttime.
Right. Well, a ganav is usually a nighttime operator, right? Not like
right.
It's not a robber. It's not a ganav. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
So then, damim lo.
It's weird. It's weird that why should he suddenly be culpable just because it's daytime? I mean,
right.
Why should he have less? All right. So it suggests that he did it at nighttime. What's factored in is the fact that he didn't know what was going on really. I mean, he was acting partially in ignorance. He was striking out into the dark.
or it could be on the side of the perpetrator that a guy that sneaks into an apartment at night knows that the people are sleeping, and he's ready to kill them if he's recognized. That's, you know what I mean. But in the daytime, if he sneaks in, so he's not that bad, he may not want to kill. However, that's not how they learn here. By the way, they learn it's a whole drush, which is that if he knows, they say it's a mushal. If he knows the ganav, like the son, meaning that if it's his father that came in, then he can't kill him. If he knows who he is, if he knows that it's his father, he would never kill his son. So then he can't kill him, and if he does, it's damim Allah. But that's a Jewish
This
thing.
is how they learned the pshat?
That's how it's a mashal. Actually, yes, that's the pshat. It's a mashal. Because of your kashas, because there shouldn't be any difference between the night and the day, and it's the same robber. What's the difference if he comes in the night and the day? He's coming in surreptitiously, which means he doesn't want to be caught. And because of that, they move it into a mashal. You know, you look at Rashi, that's what he says. But that's a chiddush. It's a big chiddush. Okay, but that's a chiddush. Okay, but
Mashal, in other words, it's saying that the lashon of imzarcha hashemesh
it doesn't mean
not
sunrise.
Right. That's what's a mashal. It's metaphorical language.
Exactly, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor that it's a metaphor.
Okay.
And then it switches and it says Shalem Yishalem. It's a very hard pasuk, by the way. It says Damim Lo Shalem Yishalem. So now what happens is, again, if you have to read, we're not going to concentrate on this, but it's very good to see. Of course, all of a sudden the subject switched. You know, talking about the Ganav have to pay. Well, I mean, the person who, if he killed the Ganav, so then he's going to have to pay. I mean, then it's murder. So what does that have to do Shalem Yishalem? So they say now we're switching back to the Ganav. So that's a switch, because how did I know we're switching back to the Ganav? But again, that's all stuff that has to be indicated. Okay. 1 second. So if it's Zarech Kashemesh, Alav, so then Balabayas is a murderer. Now, as far as the Ganav, I'm sorry. The Ganav has to, and the Ganav has to pay. Okay, in other words, he shouldn't murder the Ganav unless it's a nighttime job where the Ganav is going to kill the people in the house if they wake up, unless he knows it's his father. And if he knows it's his father, so then he shouldn't kill him. But however, if the Ganav escapes, then he's going to have to pay. Okay, fine. What's the chiddush in that? But we didn't have the din for that. Before he was paying 4 and 5. Now, because when he stole the set and the shore, he's paying 4 and 5. Now it just says Shalem Yishalem. Very strange, right? She seems as there's more of a reason to kanas him over here. He goes into a guy's house, he's going to steal his jewelry, you know what I mean? And there it says, oh yeah, you catch him, pay him, Well, strange, huh? But we're going to have to, again, this pasuk is very difficult, needs a lot of Torah Shabbat Pet to straighten it out. Okay? Now, im ein lo, now we switch to the Ganav. If the Ganav doesn't have any money, what happens? This is one of the ways that we started.
So, right, there's the Eved Ivri.
We don't have a jail, as far as I know. We don't have a jail. If a guy steals something, let him work it off. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. We didn't do this. Okay. Now, here's another din in Geneva. Im hamotze timsa biado haganav.
In what, in the other situations?
What happened in the other situation? Biado. Yeah, the other situation, I guess he sold it, he slaughtered it, right? As we said, the first situation over here is this Ganav sold it and slaughtered it, right? Then we had this break here, the special din if he sneaks into the house, okay?
Right.
Now we go back and we say, well, what happens if you find the Gneib in his hands? He didn't sell it or slaughter it, right?
Right.
So then,
Mishor ad chamor ad se chayim.
Oh, that's what you find. If he's alive in his hands, if you find it in his hands of the Ganav, then he only pays twice.
Right.
No matter if it's a shore ad chamor. Now we added another guy, the chamor. Doesn't matter how, it's from the shore ad chamor ad aseh, all three of them. It doesn't, if we find the animal alive, shore, chamor, or seh, if he's alive, then the Ganav only has to pay twice. If he slaughtered it or he sold it, it's not around anymore, so he's going to have to pay 5 and 4. But if he's alive, it doesn't matter little, he only has to pay 2. Are you with me on that?
Mm-hmm.
So we have 2,
yeah, it's fascinating. The
2, 4, and
of
5.
the deterrent. If we're thinking here in terms of deterrence, so
Right.
it's interesting. But it actually psychologically makes a lot of sense because it's like an extra chutzpah on the part of the ganav to sell. You know, it's one thing to steal, but it's another thing to sell it and really, or to eat it. You're really making it your own. So it seems like that's where they seem. You know, there's an extra knas.
Right.
Because if you haven't, it's almost like this ganav was he's tethered the bull or the sheep. He's almost not sure about what he's done.
Well, he has like I said, he has a chance to give it back.
Yeah.
He does have a chance to give it back. He hasn't. He had once he kills it or he sells it. There's no chance that he's ever going to give the Geneva back again, right? But as long as it's alive, so it's also it's a deterrent. It's also a what do you call it when you're trying to encourage someone to do something? You're trying to encourage him not to kill it, you know, because figures, you know, hey, you know, if you kill this thing, you're going to have to pay 4 or 5, you know what I mean? If you're just going to give it back, you know, what is that called?
Right.
Yeah, whatever it's called. I mean, I forgot, lost my English one. It's
It's
an incentive. That's what it's called.
incentive, right? Good.
It's an incentive not to give it back. Yeah,
But it's funny because it's like it's an incentive to a criminal to do tshuva halfway through his crime, as it were.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Now, we're missing a number here, right?
On which side?
On the side of the punishment. What numbers do we have?
Wait, because it's the same number for all three, for whatever the case is.
No, we have 2 if it's alive. And if it's dead, what do we have?
It doesn't mention dead.
Yeah, here, if he steals it or he slaughters it. Remember?
Ah, you mean you're connecting it with...
Now here he stole it, we said, if he slaughters it or sells it, so he has to pay back 4 or 5. And here, if it's alive, he only has to pay back 2.
Right.
Yeah,
Without
so
distinction of what kind of animal it is.
exactly, and it says clearly without that distinction.
Yeah.
Right? So I just said there's one number missing here.
You mean that the chamor might have a different, or the shor?
No, I'm just saying, I'm asking very well, here it's 2, and here's 4 and 5. What about 3? How come we stick 3? We went from 2, okay, 2 is a kanas, okay, and then we went to 4 to 5. What happened to 3? Whatever. go to 2, 3, 4. Anyway, it is in question. I don't know, you know, interesting. It's an observation.
Yeah.
You know. So we're just talking, you know, in the air. So because twice 2 is 4. An extra 1 when you do the shore. We don't know why that. I'm just saying a theory. I don't know. Just talking.
Oh, I see.
You know.
Yeah, but the shore is also here. Is also
right. So keeping it alive. Everything is 2. Right.
Yeah, everything is 2. That's alive.
Right. When it comes to killing it, so it should be double. Okay, maybe have double trouble. You know, you double it, that's 4, and then you have an extra 1 for the big animal. Why? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just making up you know, being mathematical about it. But okay, it's interesting. Now the real question. Also, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I hear what you just said about the animal. You know, if there's this, you're getting the animal back that you stole rather than. In the first case, the animal is dead or sold, so you're not going to get back that animal. So the calculus only figures out really relative to the worth of the animal for you. In other words, you're getting 5 times the amount. Now here, is it really that? I mean, does a person have some kind of affection towards their sheep, and that's why they don't have to pay more? Because it doesn't quite make sense to me. At least
you're going from the top down. I was going from the bottom up.
What do you mean?
I was saying the base is 2. If it's alive, you
Yeah,
pay 2. Now,
I'm
if
just thinking.
you
Yeah.
kill it, we have to now add on the kanas. So we double it. So why 5? Okay, anyway, yeah,
Right.
go ahead. Go ahead. What? You were going
But
from
I
the top
don't. It
down.
seems to be. I mean, I don't know what the reasoning is behind this. I'm not. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that in all of these cases, it seems to me it's just the value of the animal. It's not. I don't know if it matters. It's
Yeah,
not
but this
obvious
is
that
not.
it
This is
matters.
strange. This is definitely more than the value of the animal.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
In all the cases. But
No,
I
in all
don't
the
know if there's
cases it
any
is.
value.
Oh, and you mean in all the Ganav cases?
Yeah, in all the Ganav cases, I'm not sure if there's any. I mean, it's not obvious that there's a value in having that actual sheep or that actual bull,
Ah.
because you're getting a second one. So if you're getting a second one, so it suggests that even the actual sheep or bull really has a monetary, or not, it has economic value. So I don't know. I'm just
Okay. So things to
I mean,
investigate.
yeah.
Now the real question is, you see, the next thing we're going to do is talk about an animal now, and the victim is going to be killed. Okay? So again, we have this problem. Why is Ganav put here?
Yeah.
Like you said, Ganav is a type of, he's a mazik, right? He's not, um, he's not, he's
Not a killer.
he's not a killer of a man. In other words, he is the victim here is a shore or an animal. In other words, right? It's not a man anymore, right? The victim is the same shore, or okay, we had a chamor, a seh, but it's an animal. So why does he come over here all of a sudden? You see, if it's a man, so put he the first thing we spoke about, right? We spoke about a man killing another man. Then we talked about the shore killing a man. So now talk about a man killing a shore, not killing him, but stealing it.
As opposed to, what do you mean?
As opposed to, why did we have the boar and the shore before him? That's my question. You with me?
Why don't we stick to the perpetrator?
Stick him up on top. Stick him. Look, stick him as number 1. You say, we finished. We spoke about man murdering another man. Now talk about a Ganav stealing the shore and the chamor and all those laws. How come I spoke about the shore before the man? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but again, the pula is different. Here, there's a shift in pula.
Wow.
Like, I mean, the pula is decisive because it's a completely different case. There's homicide is one thing, or murdering, destroying is one thing, but stealing is it's decisively different from killing. Huh?
But let's look at the victim. The victim is the same, right? More or less. It's an animal. It's not a man. Is that correct? I mean,
well, it's funny to say this victim because the victim is always the man. I mean,
why?
what does it mean, the victim? You're not. I mean, in a theft situation, when you steal a bull, I don't say the bull is a victim. I say the one who owns the bull is the victim. No.
Well, when you damage,
yes, exactly, of course.
When you damaged, when the ox damaged the other ox.
Yeah.
So the one who's really losing out is the owner. I mean, he's losing the money, but the object of the damage was the ox.
Yes.
So here, the one that's losing the money is the owner, but the object of the damage, so to speak, is the ox. In other words, I'm instead of injuring your ox, I'm taking it away.
Yeah, but
or I could even be killing it. Worse. The first thing is I kill it. I destroy it. I destroy your property.
Yeah, it is different though. I mean, definitely if you kill the ox, then it's similar. But if you're stealing it, being stolen is also it's a different. You can't consider that. I mean, it's like kidnap. Well, I guess if you compare it to kidnapping, it is a kind of damage. But being stolen is not the same type of damage as being killed or maimed, whatever. But anyway, what's the you're leading to something? What was the?
No, I would have. Again, I'm making an observation. If we're expecting a descending order of, let's say, responsibility, we start with the man is most responsible for his own action, and therefore, if he kills another man, go down the list of who he kills. Fine. Then we talk about the man's digging a bore. He's digging a bore, and through his actions, an animal gets killed. Okay, fine. Now we're talking about him not doing anything but owning an ox. Very nice. He owns an ox. Now the ox that he does damage. Very nice, right? But now, why do we all of a sudden go to the Ganav? The Ganav should be first. Well, let's go what comes after. The Ganav should be first. He's a man doing damage to property, right? First we're talking man doing damage to man. Now it should be man doing damage to property. So this is a man that does damage to property. How does he do it? He steals the stuff. He slaughters him, kills him. He's doing damage to property.
Yeah.
And now I'll make it even worse, because what's the next halacha here? Let's read the next halacha.
So, kivar ish sadeh o kerem, ושלח את יראה ובער בשדה אחר. מיטב ששדהו ומיטב כרמו ישלם. So if a man burns the field,
consumes, let's say. No, it's not burning, it's consumes. Okay, here in the state. He consumes a field of vineyard. How does he do it?
And he sends the...
Now, a biro means, it's very interesting, a biro is an animal, Rashi points out. Of course, an animal consumes, right? An animal is a consumer. That's how he destroys. He's like beer chametz, fire can consume. An animal also can consume. Okay, so he sends his animal. He destroys his friend's field. He's yavaer his field. Ki yavar ish sodeh kerem. V'shalach es biura. And he sends in his animal. And this animal is bier. He does this consuming in another field. So then he has to pay with the best of his field. But before we go anywhere, we're talking about an animal doing damage again.
Yeah.
So why did we have this man in the middle of two animals?
But it's not, no, but here he's Meshaleach. His animal is only on shlichus, right? It says that specifically, Kivair Ish Sadeo Keren. So it's still a man that is the real agent here. I mean, it says specifically the Peula is Veshalach et Beira, and that's the man who's sending it out.
He's sending out his animal.
Yeah.
But it's the animal that's doing damage.
Right. But it's not a stray animal. It's not just. It's not like the ox at Gores, which is a stray animal in the marketplace who is just gone bonkers. And here the man, it's premeditated. The man here is sending out his animal in order to consume the other person's property. Obviously, the immediate tool, the medium, is the emtsai, is the animal that is doing the consumption, but the responsible one is the man who sent out the animal. So it's still a human.
Now that's a great theory, okay? That's a great theory. The only reason it doesn't work, and we're going to have to explain again, this pasuk has to be explained very carefully. Okay? It has to be explained very carefully. Very carefully. Very carefully. The Gemara is going to learn, we have to understand this. But the Gemara is going to say this word shilach does not mean the man sent the animal into the other field. It means that the animal trample the other field. As opposed to eating the other field. Now we're going to have to explain that. That's not the simple pashat. There's two activities here, one called shilach, one is beer. They're learning that shilach is regel, he trampled, and beer means he ate. But again, that's not the simple meaning, and if it is the meaning, you have this problem.
The first problem is that the kiva ish sadeo kerem. It assigns responsibility to the man right away.
Yeah, but how? But how? This is very, very interesting. But how? By sending his animal in to destroy. So you're saying he did it b'mezid. He whipped the animal, hit him on the tuchas, and sent him into the other guy's field. He said, "Go over there, sick him. Go over there and you go eat in my friend's field." Right? The animal wasn't going to do it. It was the man that did it. That's how you're learning v'shilach. Okay, now we have to study that very carefully. Because on the simple words, that's what it says. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not, I mean, the word, cognates of the word beira appear there, what, 3-4 times here? 3 times.
Yes.
So, because obviously, okay, so the immediate agent is beira uva'ar. So va'ar is the actual animal doing the consumption. But the very first mention is ki ba'er ish. So it's saying that really, it's as if this whole scenario is really the man consuming the field of his neighbor, even though as
the agent here, the MCE, exactly. Yeah. The MCE happens to be the animal. Yeah. Okay, anyway, this is very, very interesting. I would only look at the quote-unquote victim here in this case. Who is the victim here?
Well, immediately it's the field.
Exactly, the field. What has been the victim to this, up to this point?
It's been something animate or some
exactly. Exactly. A man first, then another animal. So now we switched the heifer, the object of damage. Okay? So that I can understand why we put this activity after the activity of the ganav. Because the ganav, what he was stealing, at least that's what it says, was the animals, right? So in our descending order of objects of damage, this comes to a new category now. So I can understand why Shane and Regel is this animal here that's, let's say he's doing Shane and Regel, is mentioned after the ganav. Because the ganav, we were still talking about the victim being an animal. Now we went one step lower, so we switched now to a different level, so I can understand why we split this shore from this shore. You know what I'm saying? Why didn't we, first of all, look, let's put, first we talked about the shore and the victim was an animal, right? The shore hitting another shore. I'm talking, in our chart. Our original chart was the shore killing a man, but now, at this point, we talk a shore killing another shore, right? So the victim was a shore. The ganav also, we spoke about the same victim. Okay, he was stealing the shore of the seh, except, and the man has a right to defend himself. It's another point. So now we're talking about an animal not destroying another animal, but destroying property. Correct? So I can understand why the ganav follows. I can understand why the shore and the shane follows the ganav, because the ganav is what he's damaging is an animal, whereas we're now going to talk about a new category of damage called a field, one step down. Okay? You with me? What I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
But I don't understand why the Ganav comes after the shore. To me, I would have put man before the shore. In other words, I would the persecutor should, since the persecutor is man, I should have put him before the shore, and not put the animal first. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he does seem to be a little bit out of place.
Yeah.
However, we have to now think, and that's why thinking is so important. We must think and develop a theory, and then we have to check out the theory, but we have to first think about it. Okay? I mean, a man should not steal. Thou shalt not steal. So put that first.
Is it? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, in these situations, what is the organizing principle? Is it? It's not always the poel. There seems to be some kind of tension between.
Yeah, the poel. It is the poel. I mean, you know, like so far it's poel. The poel is murdered. The poel. We start out the whole parsha here with the murdering man, the murderer, right? And then he was man the murderer, and then afterwards he spoke about the shore the murderer of man, and then we went to the boar, which is, we said that but then we switched here, you see, to the second category, which is shore. Did you ever see this, by the way? You're in computers, right? I mean, you've used computers. Have you ever used tape? Yeah. Have you ever seen this function here? Let me show you a function. You ever see this function?
The alphabetizing one?
Yeah.
Sorting.
It's called sort,
sorting,
right?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you use that, right? But you notice that there's another line here? Well, what does that do?
Column, then by... no, I don't usually use this.
Exactly. I know you don't.
Different principles of sort.
Because what it means is you first pick your major category. Like, say I sort everybody by the state they're in, right? And then you pick your second sorting category. Let's say I want all the states alphabetically ordered, right? But then I want the second column, which is my cities, also to be alphabetically ordered, right?
Right.
And then I want my, let's say country, state, and city. So first I want it sorted by country, that's column 1. Then I want to sort it by state, column 2. And then I want to sort it by city. So I have everything alphabetical, but the sub-sorts will be the different columns. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I teach you how to use the word also. No, it's very interesting. Okay. Also, when we're talking here, we're going to have to talk about the major sorts and the minor sorts, you know? Like the major sort is man, animal. The minor sort is the object, animal. Okay, we're going to have to think about these things. Okay, now, so what I said as far as over here is concerned, I can understand the break here. In other words, to have this animal who is now going to damage a new lower level. You see, you asked me about there. In other words, the second level, which is the victim, is a second sort function. So this sort function is a lower sort. Okay, now we have to make sense of that, but I'm just saying in broad strokes, right? So I can understand why this Shane and Regel is not mentioned over here with this. In other words, this shore is not mentioned with this shore. Okay, I can understand that because really the victims here were animals. Now we'll talk about a lower level of victim called inanimate objects. But the question is, why isn't the Ganav this whole business is talking about the victim being Shor and Aseh, so put the Ganav right in the first thing, even before Bor. Okay? So I think the answer is, and again, I'm working it out with you, is that these are first damagers. And here we're going to talk about the victim's reaction to the Ganav, what he can do. Like you said before, wasn't it interesting? You said, like, in the Wild West movies, you trespass in my territory, I'm going to shoot you,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, here we're talking about what you do with the animal. The other cases, we didn't say that if you see two shorim, one shore attacking another one, you have a right to kill the other shore. Maybe you do. I don't know. But it doesn't talk about it. It doesn't say kill them, and then you're not responsible. So anyway, I'm just throwing things out. But it's a very important question here. It's a very important question, and I think we should formulate a theory. But let's just go now to the last category that we're going to speak about, which is this one. Okay, and let's see what happens over here.
So ki tetzei ish.
Now this is eish. Eish, right? Good.
Yeah. Umatzah kotzim.
Yeah, kotzim are brambles. Those sticky things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the nechal.
What is it, nechal?
It's burned, right?
Nechal, it consumes.
Fire goes out.
Yeah, the word, it eats up, it consumes, right?
Yeah, right. Consumes, right.
So it catches on some thorns, brambles, whatever, and then it eats up a gadish, hakama, or soda. Very interesting. What's a gadish?
What's a gadish or a kama?
A gadish is like wheat that is tied together, and hakama means stuff that's standing in the field, like the corn is standing before you've tied it up in bundles, right? And
before it's even cut down, before it's even
I mean that's hakama. It's standing up. It hasn't been cut. Okay. Or a sodeh. What's the difference? Good question. Sodeh. Was it the stones, the rocks, the soil? Must be other type of produce. Again, we have to investigate that more carefully. So then the din is
so the thing we're not what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
I see. The one who was the miv'ar and be'era? The one who burned? I don't know the fire. We're talking about the fire.
Well, you can't. The fire can't pay. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So it has to be the consumer now. The man is considered the consumer, not the fire. The one who consumed, which is the man, even though he had the means of the fire, is considered the consumer, and he has to pay for what he consumed. Okay, so now why is this the next level down, if that's how we're going? Why is Aish the next level down of persecutor, aggressor, whatever you want to call him?
Well, this is really it's a scientific thing. We've gone from animal down to mineral here.
Exactly.
Not mineral, but force of nature.
Yeah, well, no, it's a fire.
Yeah.
So it's not. Well, you can't. What are you going to call it? You can't say it's mineral exactly because it moves, but it's.
It's not animal. It's inanimate.
Well, but it does have animation, doesn't it? It's interesting. But it's not alive. Let's put it that way. It's not alive. It doesn't have a soul. Okay, it's not alive. Okay, so we can understand that case. Okay. Now we have to do more work. Again, this is fascinating. I would suggest also that you read Rashi and see what he has to say. Okay, and he'll answer some of these problems. But it's very important to read Rashi. We don't have in our program. I'm just giving a taste, okay, of how to do it. but I'm not going into depth on every part because our focus is only going to be this one little part of the chart, okay, which is where it says that you have to pick up your field. That's going to be our focus. But on our way down, I want to show the tools that you need. Okay, so we'll do that next. I'm gonna call it quit. Next time, I want to do Dalet Shomer with you, at least briefly. Okay, because we're gonna just to show the level. Now we're going to talk about not property or not himself or his man's property doing damage. We're going to talk about the Shomrim. Now I'm watching something, and then through my negligence, well, we'll see exactly the property is going to get destroyed. So that's another type of injury that I'm causing, but it's a little more because I didn't actually do the act. It wasn't my animal that did the act. It wasn't my fire that did the act. It was just that I didn't watch properly, and then someone else did the act. Okay, I just go through that. But what I did want to show you, just one little thing here that I really do want to show you. And I want to end on that. Let me show you something. Okay, this is Darkei Gemara, okay? Now, it's a very, very, I mean, I recorded all the stuff. Yeah. But here, here's a very important, this is a very important few words, okay, that I want you to know. He says like this, Klal Gadol be'iyun shetigdakdek b'lashon heitev. The first rule is that you have to be exacting on the language of the text. Okay, that's why I said you have to be an observant Jew, carefully observe. Now, he's going to tell us what to look for. Okay, Lishtadel lirot im yesh bo yitur lashon o kefel inyan. Yitur lashon means that the Torah added an extra word. The Torah, in the Mishnah, the same thing, or in the Gemara, the same thing. But since we're talking about Torah, I'm going to just talk about Torah. Is there any extra words? Like it went from shor to shor v'chamor, right? Or is there kaful inyan? Kaful inyan means even if it's different words, has this concept been mentioned before? It's a repetition of an idea, even if it's not the same words. Number two, im yesh chiddush be'inyan hahu or maimra or lav. Is there new information in every statement or not? Obviously, if there's not new information, we're going to say, wait a minute, this is obvious, we learned it before. This is so we're always going to look for new information. Also, we're going to have to talk about what new information means. That means what we would have thought, the Torah now is going to add a new dimension. Then look for ubechol shinui lashon. Anytime you see a change in language, shinui din, a change in law, shinui inyan, a change in subject matter, between one subject and the next, ask yourself, lama. Okay? And that's what we're doing. The minute you see any change of language, you went from yigov to yigach, right? Any change in law, all of a sudden it's half damages, and then we've been talking about complete damages, or change in inyan. How come it goes from this subject matter and all of a sudden switches to the next subject matter? Ask yourself the important question, lama. Okay? And then he tells us, you have to explain everything, investigate everything, ask very, very well. And you have to try to get every part of that statement. Shekol mila v'mila v'kol chelek, that means even every letter, yora adav chadash shelo yeh muvan mikodem. It has to tell you something new that you wouldn't have known before. Okay? And then if it's the Gemara or the Mishnah, you have to go to the Shoresh, that means the root of it, back into the Chumash. You have to define the Etzem Din and the Gevulot. What is the Etzem Din and it's how far does it go? So over here, remember what I did in the beginning is when these are basic rules, and the beauty of this is that people know them sort of subconsciously, but that have these elements are very important. Here we're going to keep track of, here's my my aggressors, and here are my victims. I want to know which ones the Torah spoke about and which ones the Torah didn't speak about, and what is the law in the ones the Torah didn't speak about. Okay, so that will be our investigation. So that's big. And I want one little class just to finish Shomrim to the next level of Mishnah, and we have an exciting thing to do with it. And every stage is exciting, but the important thing is to realize we're only trying to understand what Hashem says. That's it. We're not trying to, do literary interpretation here. We want to know exactly what the gevulot, as he just said, what the definition and the limitations of the halacha are, so that we can actually do what Hashem says. Great. Okay. All right. So I think we'll
This is very good.
We'll stop here.
Very good stuff.
Okay. By the way, I haven't seen. It's a big world, but I haven't seen anyone doing this. I mean, they do it orally, but do this in a real chiddush, and I'm very happy that Hashem has opened this up for us. It's very, very important. Okay. Have a great week. Oh, Purim is coming. Yeah. Now, 1 second. We normally learn on Thursday night for you is Purim, right? So if you want to move it up a little, maybe we could do it, or just think about it. See, Purim is Yerushalayim is on Friday. We do Purim on Friday. You do Purim, the day after. You do Purim on Thursday, but there's also Tainus Esther on Wednesday. So Tainus Esther is a little hard to. So we're talking about Monday or Tuesday, let's say. Motzi Shabbos. Okay, whatever you like, or Monday or Tuesday if you like. It depends upon your schedule. So no problem. Send me an email and we'll go to the next. No problem.
Yeah, at the latest in next Motzi Shabbos. But let me just check. I'll check my schedule because I'm starting to teach this week, so I just have to double check.
Very good. Okay. Have a great evening.
Thanks
a good week.
You too.